Lena, I just want to let you know I'm getting ready to get on podcast.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Put Your Family First podcast. Today is going to be a great day. It's nice and sunny outside, 60. We'll see the sun will go down. It's 65 degrees at this moment, and we're in the building. Yes. Hello, Dr. Heather.
Good day.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, Brother Dave.
Hey. Great day in the neighborhood.
Good. So we are here, we've been championing literacy and talking about the importance of boys and literacy and all those things. And so this is a special day for us. Dave, those 200 books we gave out.
Right.
Our guest today was the giver of the book. And so I want to bring her in and welcome.
Hello.
Dr. Greene. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing very well.
That's awesome. So I'm looking at the artwork over your head, the flower. So you got the ambiance popping today. So we are going to, before we get into this conversation, I'd like to share this conversation about literacy and why it's so important to us before we really get into this conversation, right? When we discovered the boys, right, how are we to ever have good men, husbands, and fathers if the supposed leader of the house cannot read?
Mm-hmm.
It's important that for us, when we are talking about Boys Matter and literacy, that we contribute to the rising. Right now is 17%. That we want to be our work. We want our work to be a contributor to it rising to 25%.
Mm-hmm.
Where we keep our hands to the plow, that we can do these things. Right. I'm probably. I'm not. I guess the word I should use. I'm not oblivious to the obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think none of us are. But because we paint solutions, I know it's hard for people to get involved with solutions,
mm-hmm.
right? Because so many people want to ride the pain out. They want to ride that pain,
mm-hmm.
in the victimhood. So with that being said, Dr. Greene, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about you.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for the pictures you sent me of you all distributing the 200 books. We are so happy that we were able to help support you. I'm Dr. Diana Greene. I'm the CEO of Children's Literacy Initiative. We are a national nonprofit that's focused on ensuring that Black, Brown, and children who live in marginalized neighborhoods have access to high quality literacy instruction, whether that's through professional development, coaching, or family engagement. We support children from birth to grade 8. Hopefully next year we'll be expanding to high school to ensure that we can support anything from community daycare center all the way to school district. As in the case for Massachusetts, we support statewide. We are the coaching mechanism for their early childhood program, which again focuses on children from birth to age 5. Prior to being the CEO of CLI, I recently retired as superintendent of Duval County Public Schools, which is the 20th largest school district in the nation. So I come with a vast background related to public education, and literacy has always been sort of at the top of my priority because most of the all of the districts that I've been superintendent, the minority students have been the majority. I was superintendent of Manatee County, school district of Manatee County, and the largest minority was Hispanic students. And in Duval, the largest minority is African American students.
Awesome. So, kind of navigate the people through the children literacy initiative in terms of what it looks like day to day for you all.
Well, because we're national, we all live all over the country. Like I live in Florida, but our headquarters is in Philadelphia. And we aim to work with, whether it's from the federal level all the way down to an individual school or an individual community daycare. Our aim is to ensure that Black and brown children of poverty, have an opportunity to attain literacy by 3rd grade, and then enhance that literacy that they have all the way through high school. The data tells us, and it's very, first of all, that 1 in 5 Black or brown children come to kindergarten ready for kindergarten. Only 1 out of 5. And that by 3rd grade or 4th grade, if you're looking at NAEP results, 80% are not at the proficiency level. So the numbers are quite sobering, and to be an organization that wants to ensure that every student has access to high quality literacy instruction, we know that there are certain things that for Black and brown children of poverty, that need to be in place. We are there to support those organizations who want to ensure that all students have access to high quality literacy instruction.
Wow. You said 1 in 5?
Yes.
So 1 in 5 comes in that. Dr. Heather, I know you over there beaming. I know you got a question. So
Right. I do. Hi, Dr. Greene.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us. When you started to talk about this national view that you all have, what are some of the dynamics that you are seeing across the nation? I know there's some general things, but have you seen anything that is more trending up in terms of literacy, like parents more, instead of using books, now they're more using tablets and phones to, use the book libraries that are electronic? Are you seeing what's trending amongst those children and families that have those low literacy connections?
So what we see nationally is that there's nothing consistent. It's a hodgepodge of things.
Okay.
We are seeing more and more families having access to smartphones, but yet don't have access to books. They don't have book ownership. They might be able to access their public library, but unlike middle income, higher socioeconomic status families, they tend to have book ownership, where they can spend time with their child doing a read aloud or reading to them before they go to bed. Or children of poverty, what we're seeing is, they have a smartphone, and yes, they may have games on those smartphones, but little to none of it is of an academic nature.
Have you heard of any initiatives helping to bridge that gap so that they're moving toward those more learning-based games and things like that? And is that something that could fall under your jurisdiction?
Well, there are a number of organizations that engage in similar work that we do, but for Children's Literacy Initiative, we have developed a framework in which we are supporting that school leader, or in some cases, community daycare leader, the educator, the teacher, and now building on that family engagement piece. Because when you have all three aligned, the
Right.
child who should be in the center is going to be the beneficiary of literacy facilitation, being in a better position to gain literacy attainment or literacy proficiency.
Okay.
There are many things that families can do that don't cost a lot of money. There are many organizations like ours who do book distribution and want to get books into the hands of children. But today is focused about CLI, so I'm going to talk
Okay.
about what we
Okay.
do.
Yes.
We do book distribution this year. We distribute over 7,000 books. You were one of
Awesome.
our organizations. We delivered books to California when the wildfires were happening. We had a partnership with a project called the Black Book Project in Tennessee, and we gave them close to 300 books. Again, our goal is to get books into the hands of children who are not the ones who have access to, in our case, high quality books. Many of our
Yes.
books are hardbound, very colorful, very engaging, and
Yes,
yes, we
they
do
are.
have soft bound books, but we really invest in books that you would buy from a bookstore.
Okay.
So the hardcovers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, Dave, you got a question before?
What do you think is the reason that hard copy books, even hard copy books, are not appealing to our youth, like smartphones and things of this nature? We know that even when I was growing up, reading was not something, unless your parents promoted it, was something that kids naturally drew to. And I grew up in the 60s. So in present date, I find that kids have no interest in really reading standard books. So what do you think is the disparity between the parents and the children to create the appeal for reading?
So there are a number of answers to that really complex question. One is if their parents are struggling readers themselves, they're not going to engage with bringing a book home or finding what their child is interested in. Secondly, we are in a digital world, and we think all information comes off of TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, and that it's just not the case. But many of our families are engaging in activities that require either a smartphone or into gaming, just not spending that time engaged with hardbound books or softbound books. There are many books that children really would engage in. We just have to make sure they have access to it. There's a book that I just gave to a family, and it was called I Love My Hair Nappy. And this father said, ever since I got that book from you, Dr. Greene, my child can't put it down. We're always reading it every night. And it's because he struggles with her hair every morning. And the book here is very much like this little girl. And so she now identifies with this character and finds that there's something we have in common. So it isn't just providing books. You need to provide books where children are seen. They feel like someone hears my voice, and opportunities to learn about other people and other cultures.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's those things seem to be as I've been trying to not say. I'm trying to work at another way, but it seems to be, it's almost like it's normal, right? My question is, besides the things that you're seeing and doing, how can people help Children's Literacy Initiative at this point that is watching? And besides, even with donations, but some other things that we can do to assist you.
Well, you did say the first thing, donations. Because, the average price of the books that we distribute is about $16. So if you take 16 times 7,000, that kind of tells you the cost that goes into purchasing those books and making sure they get into the right hands at the right time. But I think some other things that individuals could do is find out what's happening in your own community. CLI is not going to be the end all be all. All have to work together. And so when there are other organizations that do book distributions, we need to make sure those books are getting out to children who truly need access. One of the other things is ensuring that where you live, are you doing all the things you can do to support your local nonprofits? We just had a event in Philadelphia. That event was called Sentence. We showed the documentary that was produced by Seth Curry and his wife. And that documentary is so powerful. It is showing adults who are illiterate, but the problem is they are passing that down generationally. So you have adults, their children, your children's children, all being illiterate, and it is a much bigger problem than just, hey, come to kindergarten, know your ABCs, and people just think, oh, we'll just learn how to read. When you are growing up in an environment where your parent and your grandparent cannot read, it lends itself to an opportunity that reading is not a priority. And everything learned doesn't happen in the time that they are at school. And many times we find there are other root causes, chronic absenteeism, people need to understand that there is an intersection between literacy and health disparity.
Right.
So there are so many issues that contribute to individuals not obtaining strong literacy skills.
Wow. So I have to confess that there are some things that I say that I'm surprised when saying them actually matches the science and the conversation and the whole night. So I didn't go so deep, but we have been speaking that the words that I say toward a child, or how many words that I can espouse to this child, will make a difference in this child, right? We have been saying epigenetics, right? How the DNA code records everything and how it passes on, right? We have been saying those things. But what she was just saying, as far as health, I've said it, but that's not an area I dove into that was connected, that we didn't dive into that's connected to literacy. But I, just from the eye, I'm saying, if you cannot read, it's kind of hard for you to see and read and understand the labels, right? And how that affects what you put into your body. And so having you say that, Dr. Greene, that is that's powerful in terms of that when it comes to the culture, that the naive perspective, the not knowing, the poor literacy, that those things are really repeating, as you say. So I'm gonna jump on that clip, jump in and get the video and get involved on that end with Stephen Curry. But I'm saying that what you just said was very, very powerful, and I'm lost for words at this particular point, so let's go to the commercial.
Yeah, Johnny.
Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with a growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine. Our intuitive platform makes it easy for you to be seen and heard. We do all the heavy lifting for you. You just show up and create. Plus, with our advanced analytics, you'll gain valuable insights into your audience's preferences, allowing you to refine your content and grow your fan base. Ignite your passion, expand your reach, and thrive with podcasting. Visit our website at www.podcasticlife.com to get started. Podcasting, the home for indie podcasts and content creators.
Okay, welcome back. So, Dr. Greene, I want to get right into some solutions, right? And if you can start with your favorite one. And what is your favorite solution to solving this literacy situation?
Well, I wish I could say it would be one favorite solution. It requires a commitment from the school district or organizations that support early literacy, such as early childhood, daycare centers, making a commitment that, one, we have to invest in the people that are providing instruction. As a former superintendent, that was one of my top priorities, to ensure that I could raise the salary of teachers, because people really don't understand how complex the job is to teach someone how to read. And especially children from marginalized neighborhoods that are coming from environments that may not be exactly open to academic conversation, academics related to not just literacy, but all the other content areas. And so one solution I would like to put forth is that there needs to be a concerted effort to collaborate with nonprofits. And it's more than just educational nonprofits. It's health nonprofits. It's economic nonprofits that focus on economic mobility. We have to come together to create a solution map that would indicate these nonprofits need to be focused in this community. And these are the services that need to be offered. And how can we ensure that those services meet the right people for at the right time for their needs and help them also have a voice into these services.
Okay. So that's
awesome.
one.
That's awesome.
That resource map is hot.
Yes, it is. I wrote that down, by the way, Dr. Greene. That resource map. I think blueprint, but I like resource map better.
Yes, yes. Okay. Now give us another one. What's your second?
I would say my second is making sure that educators are receiving high quality professional development. We subscribe to the science of reading, but as an organization, we are curriculum agnostic. And so we believe when we are asked to partner with a school district that it starts with the foundations, making sure your teachers have a strong understanding of the sciences of reading. I know this is a sensitive topic in our current state of affairs in our country, but if your classroom is majority of students that are Black and brown or students of poverty, you need to understand culturally relevant, how to infuse culturally relevant pedagogy, and then provide support to teachers on the curriculum that you are using. So it doesn't matter whether you're using exponential learning, wit and wisdom, benchmark advance, or wonders, a number of literacy curriculums, but ensuring that they have strong support, which we call coaching, to support them through that job embedded professional development, to ensure that today we had a training on doing small group instruction. All too often, teachers get trained and then they don't hear anything else about it. It's ensuring, no, once the training is complete, we're going to come in, provide coaching, support. If we need to model, if we need to co-teach, all those things are important to support teachers because, they are individuals that have anywhere from 20 to 25 students in their classroom with 25 different needs. And they are one person and they have their own needs. And having a coach to come in and support them is a way to help them get better at their craft and give them more confidence in doing things that may not be comfortable for them, and empower them that it's okay to make a mistake. But what it's not okay is to not continue to find solutions that would help every student in your classroom.
Yeah. And that, my friends, is a problem, right?
I have a question.
Okay.
I want to ask you about parents being the first teacher. And as you see this landscape, how can we help equip parents to be better teachers? Like there's professional development for teachers that are in the classroom. What about those first teachers being the parent? And what have you seen, or what types of investments do you see from your organization's perspective that could be made or are being made already to help support parents as in that role of teacher too?
Yes, so we provide training for parents. We don't like to call it training. We provide what we call parent engagement events, where we're giving parents suggestions on how to be their child's first teacher. You don't need a master's degree or even a bachelor's degree to be your child's first teacher. But there are simple resources that every parent should have. Magnetic letters. When they leave the hospital with their newborn, they should have a small set of resources that they are
Yes.
going to take home, such as magnetic letters, alphabet cards.
Yes.
They should have books. Even if you want to have the primary books, which are usually cardboard or the soft made books for toddlers. You just engaging with your child will help them see that whatever this is that they're learning is important because my parent is the one engaging in it with me. Uh, my husband and I, we have two sons, and I distinctly remember our refrigerator having the magnetic letters on the refrigerator, and my 1 year old coming, "Mommy, A, that's apple. You showed me apple. That means A." Yeah, my son didn't spell apple, but he knew that the letter A was a part of apple, and like I said, you don't have to have a bachelor's degree to be your child's first teacher. It's simple activities with being with your child. It's talking with your child. When I would take my son to the grocery store, he would sit in the cart, and when we go buy the produce, that's how he knew A represented apple because I'd pick up an apple and say, "This starts with the letter A, apple." Um, you know, Cucumber. He knew it started with the letter C. Those are the things we can do with our children. Unfortunately, for children of poverty, they do not hear academic vocabulary. They do not hear words like understanding simple things like the produce. They hear the word no, they hear shut up, they hear words that tend to mean negative things, and a lot more often than they hear words that are, having conversation, having discussion about just everyday things like going to the grocery store. Or when we were in the car, we constantly looked at fast food symbols. So as soon as the M came, my son knew it was McDonald's, and that was supposed to be the closest thing to the letter M.
Right. Right. Thank you for that. That's really good information. Just how to be more creative in your parenting. That even using the resources that you have, like you just mentioned, the things that you do every day as a family, highlighting those things too. Because I think that even when there are family literacy issues, that there's still family strengths. And so that engagement piece is really important, and it doesn't have to be necessarily in traditional ways that we think are traditional, but that engagement piece is really important, and being creative with what you have. Like I think about my mom, and that she painted a wall black, and that became the blackboard. So, everybody got a chance to be a teacher. We just had some chalk, and we used the same chalk outside on the sidewalk to write numbers and draw lines and circles and things like that. It was simple. It was easy, but it was engaging because my mom made it fun. And she made it fun for all the kids on our block. So everybody benefited from it. It wasn't just our family, because it was a lot of kids. And that the families, all the families on our block did not spend time, sitting, reading, those kinds of opportunities. And so my mom took it. She would do story time. We would sit at, on the porch at night. Either we would, just sit and listen to stories. And my mom's such a good storyteller, but she would have books sometimes, and it would be a book that she was reading, not just telling stories. So how she was really engaging, and people look forward, our kids, the kids on my block look forward to that. So I think it's something that we can do even outside of our own homes that you can still draw kids into. So thank you for that. Just triggered that thought for me. Thank you.
Okay, so here's.
I do want to add something to what
Go
I
for
said.
it.
national research indicates that over 80% of parents think their children can read. So schools also have to do a better job of informing parents when their child is not reading on grade level. Because for the most part, most parents believe they are.
Wow. So wouldn't that be, though, wouldn't that mean for those that didn't spend the time that to teach them, that they still believe that they're, because of the expectation of the school? Got it. They expect the school to teach the kid how to read. So therefore the kid should automatically know how to read.
And I think because that expectation is based on the general language that we use and the way we communicate. So when the kids come in the house and as she said, no, I don't care, blah, 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 these are basic general terms that people use every day, especially in the more impoverished environment. And I'm not talking just economically impoverished, I'm talking emotionally, mentally, spiritually impoverished too, that this seems normal. I mean, if we're realistic about it, most of us will not reach that pinnacle of getting a bachelor's, master's, PhD. So we have the everyday general educational level, and most people, what I gather, just going in the neighborhoods and being around my own community. These kids usually are operating with no motivation but to be able to communicate to get by. So my question is, what do we do with the people who don't have the innate initiative to go out and try to educate? Because it seems like most people can get by, that's how they go on, and that's, I think, why the numbers are so high, because it seems normal to me.
Yes, it is a tough situation, because if all you see is just your neighborhood, and let's say you live in an impoverished neighborhood, you don't know that there's any other way to live.
Right.
And when you come to school, that seems to be the only place where things might be different. And when I go home and my mom might pull something out and ask me to read it, and if I can read this simple sentence, they think I'm reading on grade level, when that is not the case. And like I said, as a former superintendent, we don't do a good enough job of explaining what does reading on grade level mean, or connecting it to what people aspire to be. So if you want to be a firefighter, you have to be able to read at this level. Or if you want to be a professional athlete, which most of our African American boys aspire to, we don't tell them, most of the time you have to go to college. And for you to go to college, you need to be able to do A, B, C, D. So if you want to be a professional football player or a professional basketball player, there are still academic requirements needed.
Awesome. That's awesome. So this is the part where you tell us, what do you do for fun?
Oh, wow. My husband and I, we are empty nesters. So both of our
Congratulations.
sons are
Right.
We got next.
and college. So they take care of themselves. And so what we do for fun is whatever we want to do for fun.
I know that's right. All right. Yeah, that's one of our favorite questions. We get a number of different answers because some of us in here can grill, and can barbecue very well, and some of us can make different meals. So we're always in here trying to discover what people do new. We discovered some friends gone to Morocco, so our bucket list is changing, right? And so, a lot of times
I do love the play tennis. So that
Do
is
you?
one of the things, yes. I've been to the U.S. Open for the past couple of years.
That's
and so
dope. See?
really, really enjoy doing that. So tennis is my, stress reliever. It's way we keep healthy. And so my husband, he's a golfer, and I'm a tennis player.
Nice.
Shout out to the husband. Maybe one day he can teach me. I just cannot find my way to that golf course. I feel like I need to do something with these kids every time, man. You know, that takes away from that process. So, Doc, this last question is important to us, but it's very important to you. We want you to give us the best advice if you had an audience of 5,000 people and Dr. Diana Greene was on stage and she was closing, what is the best advice you could give us?
Well, my best advice is probably rely on my spiritual background and trust, not lean to thy own understanding, but seek him in all thy ways. I just know that whatever I've been through in life, knowing that I had someone, in my case, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, to reach out to, has always been a comforting, moment for me, as well as he has never steered me wrong.
Awesome.
Praise God.
Good job. Good job.
Yes, praise God.
So this last thing that we ask, say your name and look in the camera and say your name and say, encourage me, I'm young.
I'm Dr. Diana Greene. Encourage me because I am young.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Greene, we truly appreciate you. Is there any information you want to share before we sign off? Is there anything you want to ask us or whatever's on your mind that you'd like to share? We would love to hear from you.
Also, how do organizations reach out to be a part of that book distribution too? If you can share that.
We taking that. I want the 200 books. Every time she give out books, I want us right there.
That doesn't stop. That doesn't push us out of the way, does it?
I'm
No.
fighting for my place.
We had to get the books in the hands of the kids. So,
Well, our website is cli.org. It is where you can find out everything about Children's Literacy Initiative, as well as make a donation if you are so inclined to continue. We have wonderful donors who just find our website and for some reason they just make a donation. But it is important to note that our book distribution will come to an end if we can't continue to grow philanthropic support, because books are actually, it's how we started as an organization 35 years ago, but we have actually evolved more into a coaching, professional development, parent engagement organization, and books are what we use when we interact with parents. The distribution part of our organization is coming to a close.
Okay.
And the only way it will continue is if we are able to receive large philanthropic support as we have in the past.
Okay. So, I just want another 200 books for boys. That's all. Whenever your heart see fit, you don't even have to ask me. You got the address. Okay. Calvin, I'm sending 200 your way. That's all. And we gonna make it happen. But, and I truly appreciate that, because we will, what I want to do is, because we are collecting literacy partners, I want to add your logo as a partner to our website, where to make sure that that is part of it, and then champion it as we go out here and speak and help. Although we need donations too, but I want to make sure that we help keep that alive, because what you're doing is unique in terms of that you're focused on the black and brown, and we need all the focus we can get. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Dr. Greene. I know, tell your husband, I hope he reaches his goal on the golf course. I hope you win your next tournament, and I appreciate all the work that you do. And we love to, that we were able to spend this time with you. And thank you again. Thank you for joining us and coming in, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was an honor.
So, now that's dope.
Absolutely.
Right. That's what I'm talking about when it's just an important piece to the work when we talking literacy. Literacy is an important piece. As a matter of fact, I would go on the record to say, and I talk about this all the time, and everybody here has spent time in teaching their kids how to read. It's no question. Mm-hmm. But it was personal to me, right? It was very personal to me because of the environment. As a parent, I knew that this is such an important piece that you got to have. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't really advocate for yourself. You can't, some of the things that, she was sharing, if I can't communicate with you proper, maybe domestic violence is really why this occurs, because I can't communicate with you proper. Right. You using words I can't use, so I'm going to use what I can use, right? We see it all the time in domestic violence situations where I'm going to talk you down instead of talk you up. Right? Because I want to control you. We see this in business, right? Where I'm only going to give you so much information. It's happening from poor literacy, right? Well, Calvin, I don't really want to put you over here. I'm going to put you over here. You know what I mean? And so those limitations create more limitations, and it damages the seed carrier. And I bring it back to the seed carrier because he carries the seed of life, and that recording is what we're putting in our wives and our women. And literacy, reading is life. Like, you just can't. There's no wins without reading. You know what I mean? You might be able to escape, get by, do some things like our friend, you know what I mean, cousin, I was able to get by. I couldn't read a lick, right? And got into some of these rooms and was doing all this other work. But it came a time when I got to know to read. Right? Somebody is going to challenge you. The situation might challenge you. The circumstances might challenge you. But at a certain point, we just got to do better culturally, with literacy and with math, because you can't get into the competition. When she was talking about poverty, that piece about poverty was such a heavy piece. But with poverty, when you look at poverty, they have what we talking about. Research shows that impoverished homes only have 30,000 words, whereas the educated house will have 1 to 3 million words. So it's a difference. Education is important, and it's a difference. And I just find it is important. Heather?
I would say that one of the important pieces that can sometimes be overlooked that she mentioned was that you may not know your child's reading level. That stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Because because it's an indicator. It's an indicator that there's something deeper to look at. And I think about that when in my household, we read all the time. And he was reading back. And so as I'm thinking about it now and where he is in his reading levels now, I'm just amazed that what his reading level is versus the amount of time and effort we poured into basic reading, basic skills early. And so, and up through until he was like maybe 8 or 9 years old, when he gets a little older than that, you're supposed to be reading on your own. So that was the expectation. And so recognizing that you may not, because you may have some assumptions versus, the testing that they have. And I do have some, hesitation about standardized testing. That I think that they are biased in a sense, because what something means in one culture or one community may mean something different when you see it on a test. And so your answer that you may be looking for based on what your community calls a certain situation, and you're not knowledgeable about those situations. You may not be able to go to a particular culture and start asking questions about golf related math, and you are able to make sense of it. Because maybe golf is not in the family sport. Mm-hmm. And so I think some of those things make it a little difficult. And I do want to say this one thing, that your intellect and how bright our children are is not an only indicator around their reading levels. We have brilliant children, and their reading levels may not necessarily reflect their brilliance. It doesn't make them less brilliant than they are, and creative, and all the things that they can do. There's so much that they can do. We just need to make sure that they're balanced in all that they can do.
Dave?
Yeah, I think that's significant when you said that, because even in special needs, such as my daughter, they have equipment now that even though they can articulate it like we would verbally, they actually can express it multiple words through the computer. So that means that the child is absorbing information that you think they don't comprehend when you're in the environment, when they're in the environment with you or in the room. Mm-hmm. But yet they're taking in information, and their comprehension seems to be greater than what we give credence to. One of the things I really thought about is that, again, the normacy. The parent won't recognize that the child is not at the certain grade level of reading if they can't read that level themselves. So they're in their own comfort, because that child comes in, should be reading at an 8th grade level, but if the mother or father doesn't read no further than 6th grade, then he looks smart. The classic example was the Beverly Hillbillies. They thought Jethro Bodine was intelligent, so he could decipher, you see, because their grade level wasn't that high. And it just don't necessarily stems around our ethnic group and of people of color. It's also in the other ethnic groups. I see their educational deliverance is not that much in variation than our own when we talk about educationally being deprived.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Dave, tell them where they can reach you at.
You can reach me at FMAM, For Men About Men on Facebook, and DROM7@yahoo.com. Thank you.
Heather?
You can reach me at yourinspiredjourney.com, and you can reach me by phone at 313-759-7855.
We can say a lot of things, right? I don't like the approach to this. We can't do both, right? I don't like the fact. And it's not a knock. I understand exactly what Heather was saying earlier. Mm-hmm. But I didn't come from that model, right? I come from the model that I can master them all and understand, right, what is at play. I come from the model that whatever room I'm in, that I can comprehend and produce the whole night, right? Poverty hit my family, right? It hit my family. My brother dropped out as he in high school. My sister dropped out. They both had to go back, get GEDs as adults. But then after those two, all of us had a shot, right? And from that poverty, but words was already at play, right? Shut up and sit down, or you little MF, speaks to the limitation that poverty has, right? And then the mentality where poverty is say, you think you better than me, right? And the only thing that poverty has really made itself good at is violence, Right? It's one of the areas that if you're in a poor community, the poor areas, the chances, your chances are higher to be robbed, shot, the whole nine. So, in particular, those poverty-stricken areas have become, they're good at violence, which means it kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that you don't have enough words to make better decisions.
But also, let me just interject that it also breeds the grounds for innovation, and where you may be lacking in one area or one resource, that you create those resources. I think that was one of the opportunities that we had as children. I'm gonna just use the gold card because you talked about that, I think, in your interview, Calvin.
Yeah.
But that you have taken the resources that you have and created something new, or created something that is useful from that. And I think that is one of the outcomes of that. We, our culture has always been an innovator, and we innovate from our need sometimes. And I think that's important to note that as well. That's not where you want to stay, but that is definitely part of who we are.
I think that's what we've come from. The system has completely depended on our innovation to take it, and then they take it and market it. It's the same thing that they've done with the athlete, the same thing they've done with our children, the same thing, right? Because if I create more of this, I'll get these things that I can take to the marketplace and say, that's why I'm pushing back on all this racism stuff. I'm pushing back. Everything you got, we started. So I'm pushing back in terms of the fact that we won't fight for the things that we create. I'm pushing back for the fact that we won't make sure that our children, our people, are in this game to compete. That's the object. This is not the object is for us to just exist, right? The object is, how can I compete? Because the system knows if you got the same information and we get in the same spot, your greatness is going to shine. That's what they are. That's the thing. So instead of me coming over here to knock on your door, let's create the damn corporations and the places and the things and make sure our children are hired the same way that they make, instead of keep asking these people who despise you for the same outcomes. It's just redundant to me. And so if a boy cannot read, if our daughters cannot read, how can they have successful relationships? How can they be successful parents? How can they make successful money? How can they run successful business? It just makes no sense to me. And, that we have come to this thing, and every time we come to an obstacle, we go, but they. You see? And so, man, I'm sick of that. And I don't want to be in a space, right? Because I was sitting at the table with a lot of people, and they was headed that way. I know we're not about to do that. I'm not about to we shall overcome. None of that, because we were birthed to be the difference anyway. We weren't birthed to carry the same cross. My cross gonna have bling on it. You know what I mean? We wasn't birthed for that. So my point is, our children should not be subject to that mindset. My name is Dr. Calvin T. Mann. You can reach me at calvinmann.com. You have been listening to the Put Your Family First podcast. God bless you and encourage me. I'm young. Peace.